afternoon. Hey, Al, good afternoon. Sorry. Hey, Al, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, and happy Thanksgiving. Hey, Muzaffar here, Atanshi.
Hi, Venkat.
Good,
Hey,
good evening to you all. Hey, so welcome to the webinar today. The webinar today is about giving the tools necessary for you to complete a SOA, a statement of applicability for ISO 27001. Many of you folks are probably familiar with ISO and 27001 frameworks. The way that if you're starting to perform the audit or prepare for the audit, you have to, there's a bunch of documents, ISMS, management, applicability, about seven or eight spreadsheets and documents you have to prepare. One of the primary document or spreadsheet that drives the rest of the documents is the statement of applicability. The statement of applicability is about what are the items and rows that are applicable to you. So you have to understand your company, you have to understand the environment that your company is operating in before you can fill it up. It takes usually a couple of days. There are lots of places out there on the internet that you can download the template. And there's a lot of SaaS tools out there where you can get the template, but the work involved is not in getting the template, but filling it up to suit to your company and your environment and your tech stack. And that's what we try to do. We work with several customers where the pain point is not getting the template itself, but filling the template up to suit to your environment. What we're going to do today is we're going to go over what the present status of affairs is if you want to make that SOA. What are the things that you need to do to fill that up? And a tool that we made that will automatically fill that up for you given your company. So if you have a company domain, we made a tool that will go scrape your company's website, look at the products, look at what you offer, make some educated guesses around which tech stack you're in. Maybe you're in the cloud, maybe some of it is on-prem, and make some intelligent guesses about the environment that your company is operating in, and automatically goes and fills it up the spreadsheet. So essentially, type in your company domain and download your SOA template. So we're going to present that tool, and excitingly enough, we are going to make that tool free and open source for anybody to use. That's the agenda for the webinar today. Feel free to put the questions in the question channel, and we'll try to get to them during and towards the end of the agenda. So Ratanshi and Muzaffar here. Ratanshi is we'll go over the whole process of SOA templates and how they work and how we automate it, and probably do a demo of the tool. And then Muzaffar will go over the technical details of the front end and back end of and how the whole tool works. So if you want to go towards looking behind the curtains to see how the tool works, stay for Muzaffar's presentation around how the tool works in the back end. So I'll give it over to Ratanshi and Muzaffar. Go ahead, Ratanshi.
Thank you so much, Venkat. Hi, everyone. A very good morning, evening, and afternoon to all of you, and a very happy Thanksgiving. So I'm excited to initiate this session, and thank you so much, Venkat, for giving a good introduction to what we are here for. So to all the attendees, before we actually deep dive into understanding what our tool is doing and how we have configured it to provide the functionalities that it is providing, it is very important for us to understand from a compliance perspective what we are aiming to achieve. For the same, we have this tool basically supports a SOA, which is a statement of applicability. Now, statement of applicability comes in at various places while we look at various ISO IEC standards. For the standard that we have, for the standard that we have automated the processing right now is ISO 27001, which is for ISMS systems. Now, this standard revolves around ensuring that any type of information security management systems in an organization are safe, secure, and they meet the security baseline, which has been determined by the said standard. There are a lot of documents that like if an organization needs to go and implement this particular standard, or achieve compliance or conformance to this standard, there are multiple activities that an organization needs to do. Even before they face auditors, they need to ensure that they are ready and at their end. This includes, the initial step is describing the vision and the mission of the organization, which moves forward to ensuring that there are policies in place. They need to understand all of the stakeholders which are interested in their organization, all interested parties, board of directors, other stakeholders who might be affected by anything that happens in the organization. It also includes deciding the business, what all processes are critical to the organization, conducting risk assessments, ensuring that there is timely treatment to these uh, treatment to the corresponding risks which have been identified as part of the risk assessments, ensuring that there is continuous improvement in whatever ITGC controls that the organization has. Um, all of this are just like a few controls as part, or that an organization identifies as part of the mandatory controls per ISO or 27001. What happens post this is that they need to conform to the annexures. The latest standard of ISO, that is ISO 27001 2022, has about 93 controls which are not mandatory, but these controls are required to be implemented by the organization whenever and wherever these are applicable. It becomes very difficult for the organization to actually go into ensuring that A, all of the policies are in place, B, all of the corresponding procedures are in place in line to the implementation that the organization is doing. They need to create various documents, including ISMS manual, which contains all of the details mentioned before, and they need to create like all of this is only from a documentation perspective. They also need to ensure that controls, such as controls throughout their infrastructure, or the throughout the scope of the assessment, such as logging and monitoring, password policies, VAPT activities, then physical security practices, everything is implemented. Now, the intent where we decided that we wish to automate a few of the processes going on was to take a few details or take a few tasks off the hands of the customers that we have, because they already have so much on their plate to implement. We wanted to see how we can best facilitate and reduce their workload. And hence, we decided that it would be a good thing if we can reduce the documentation part per se that these organizations are required to comply with. So this was the intent of the intent of what we tried to achieve via the SOA generator. Now let's talk about a vanilla approach. While we do not have AI, while we don't have any of the activities in reducing our workload, how does the creation of the SOA application generally looks like? So, as an entity, assume that I'm a customer. I would go ahead and I would first understand or look at all the 93 controls that are available in the ISO 27001 standard. For every single control, I will determine if I have, first of all, I will determine if the particular control is applicable to me or not. Now, applicability of the control would depend on a lot of factors. It would depend on what my infrastructure is, what my business processes are, what all services, people, technologies are in scope of my business or assessment. I would also wish to understand what all supporting IT services do I have. Do I have a SIEM? Do I have a file integrity monitor? Do I have an antivirus? So on and so forth. I would determine my entire scope for the assessment, and once that analysis is done, I would fill in per requirement. I would fill in the applicability of all of the all of the ISO controls that are in place. Post this, this is just like the baseline activity. After this, I am going to I will be required to map all of my organization policies to every single one of the controls of ISO that is there. For example, the first control of ISO pertains to having an information security policy. So, after post determining the applicability of the control, I will be required to map all relevant documents I have in my organization to this particular control. Now, this is the effort only from the client side or the customer side. After this, the effort shifts to the auditor, where the auditor would go through all of the list, ensure that all applicable requirements are in fact applicable to the organization. They will also ensure that no applicable requirement has been marked as not applicable by the customer. And alongside that, they will start a long and tedious task of ensuring that the policies marked as part of the SOA are corresponding to the control, and ensure that whatever control ISO mandates or ISO asks for is a part of the particular policy which has been tagged. This is basically the vanilla approach that an organization would follow for filling in an SOA. Now, let's talk about how we actually got the idea that this is something which needs our attention, or this is something that we need to implement. So we had a customer, obviously not going to name it due to confidentiality, and they came to us with a very stringent timeline that we have everything in place from an implementation perspective. However, we have a client dependency and we need to complete our ISO certification in, I think, 2 weeks or so. And that became a challenge, because it's good that the organization has implementation in place, but then writing policies, ensuring that those are reviewed properly, ensuring that all controls as part of the implementation are including in the policy in a time period of 2 weeks, along with validating the implementation. It's a little cumbersome, honestly. So, we thought that, it's the world of AI and we have a lot of options out there. We have a lot of generative AIs, we have ChatGPT, we have Claude, we have Perplexity. Excuse me. Why not utilize all of these platforms that are available to us and try curating an SOA? So I do remember that, a few teammates, worked on the prompts and they gave us the output. And because I work on the compliance side, I reviewed it, and it did not correspond to the environment of the client. It did not make a lot of sense. It was full of English jargons. It had a few technicalities, but at the end of the day, it was very senseless, at least from what I read. We also tried giving a little bit of context of the organization for which we were creating the document, and we thought it might give us a better output, but the end result was pretty much the same. And this was a small gap that we did notice, that even though chat gpt can give us it is good in the verbiage that it uses, it can give us technical references, but if I give it a list of all of our policies and ask it to map it to the controls, it does not do a very good job. It's not bad, but it's not decent either. So we thought, why not create something which can work for the customer, which can reduce the work of the effort that takes a customer, let's say maybe 2 to 3 days to actually go through all of the policies, visit whatever is written in every policy, and map it to particular controls. Why not automate it? So this is exactly what we did. And let's talk about what the tool does. In case there are any questions, please feel free to put it into the chat box. If not, I'll quickly share my screen and we'll go forward and have a demo of the product that we have created. Just allow
Yeah,
me.
as you're bringing that up, Pratanshi, I'll tell you my experience of using ChatGPT for the thing. For example, I mentioned, hey, here's the company name. I even pasted a lot of items regarding the company itself, the products that they do, all that stuff. And then when the spreadsheet, when ChatGPT generated the spreadsheet, for example, there are several items where, from an auditor perspective, they're like, this is not optimal. And one of the things is, I forgot how many rows are there. There are about 30 rows or so. And then the auditor wanted each row to be present, and whether the column that says applicable or not, specifically, you want to fill up all those columns. And if it's NA, say NA, and then if it is NA, tell me why you think it's not applicable. So there are all the things that the auditor is expecting that ChatGPT did not do a good job of. And then I was trying to again give that feedback back to the ChatGPT and say, no, can you fill up everything in NA, and can you do this? Can you do that? And then, as I was working through it, it took me as much time as it would have been manually to work through the ChatGPT for half a day and then all that stuff. So that's the kind of pain point of using vanilla GPTs for doing the task. But if you carefully orchestrate it with programmatically, the time that will take is minimal.
100% Venkat. And I also remember, as you mentioned your experience, that while we were looking at the initial documentations of the SOA that ChatGPT had created, there were a lot of blank entries. We had to go back, reiterate, tell it that we have 93 lines. Don't just make it for the first 5, or don't just make it for the first 10. And it was something that maybe the GPTs, maybe like, to actually get the output that we're getting right now, we have to write very long prompts, give it chunks of data, do it for 5, do it for 5, and then paste it at the end of the day. So as you rightly mentioned, it takes us a lot of time. It's like doing it manually, right? So I think one thing that we should take up before we move on to the demo is understand what a SOA actually is. SOA, as we have mentioned a couple of times, is statement of applicability. Now, for every ISO requirement, this is required to be created for all controls, which are like the 93 ISO controls, which are ideally non-mandatory for the organization. It depends on the business of the organization to ensure that particular controls need to be in. So this document has a field which is of the control of ISO. So we have the details of the ISO control. Post that, we have whether a particular control is applicable or not applicable to the organization. There needs to be a justification for applicability as well as non-applicability of a particular control. And post that, as we mentioned before, it maps all of the relevant policies into the document. I will quickly share my screen and I will show you what we have done with this particular tool and what does it look like. Please let me know if my screen is visible. I hope you do see the SOA generator.
Yes, we see the trust tool, Transilience trust tools.
Just 1 second. Right. Perfect. So for everybody's reference, I will share this particular link over chat as well. This is something that you can go ahead and explore while we give you a demo of this particular tool. So here we have the ISO 27001 SOA generator. Now while we have created this tool and while we've ideated all of the functionalities that the tool should provide, we've tried to address a few issues that we know organizations face. One of the things is that documentation in general is a little time consuming compared to the other activities, and ideally the responsibility of creating these documents, like whoever they fall on, are quite up in the security chain of the organization, and they might not have the time, or they would have other priority tasks to take care of. So based on the same, we thought, what is the best way in which we can reduce the effort of creating the SOA to the minimal time possible. For the same, we thought, what if we don't have to fill in the basic business details? What if it's just like a due diligence which is required from the from the stakeholder, rather than filling in all of the details while generating the SOA? So to counter this in a certain way, we went ahead and we just one second. We went ahead and we tried figuring out the way in which we can, reduce the effort the most. So allow me just 1 minute. Let me take a URL of an organization. I'll use Transilience for the same.
And as Ratanji is pasting the company's URL, the information to fill this up in a normal company, the information comes from multiple stakeholders, and some of the information comes from product management, where they know what the business type is. Some of the information comes from infrastructure folks, where, are you in AWS? Are you this? Are you that? And some of the information comes from security. So here, what we are doing is we are gathering all the information that we can about the company and intelligently guessing various types, whether it's a business type or a technical stack, so that you don't have to run around the organization and talking to multiple people to get that information. Go ahead, Ratanji.
Right. Thank you, Venkat. So you can either fill in your details manually. If not, you can just add your URL. And once you add the URL, it goes into the backend. It fetches all of the details and it fills all of this information. Not only this, the ones that we will see below as well automatically. So we can see that the name of organization is here. We have like options of business types, about what the organization umbrella is, what it falls into, what is its industry verticals. We have various options right here depending on the organization that we're looking at. And there is a small description, excuse me, of the primary product or services that the organization provides. Post this, there is an option of selecting the major business activities that the organization is involved in, whether it is software development, data processing, human resources, and obviously, because we can't cover the entire market, in case you wish to add something of your own, you are more than welcome to add it here. And it can be added from this box right here. Next, it is very important from an ISO perspective to understand where does the organization function. Um, for example, let's talk about an organization in India. An organization in India might, be subject to a lot of local Indian laws. For example, we have the latest DPDP rule, which is Data Protection Act. Um, like any organization who will be taking care of the data of Indian citizens would be subject to that. Similarly, if an organization is in Europe, they will be subject to GDPR, so on and so forth. So based on the understanding of what an organization does and what all compliances are applicable to the organization, the SOA goes ahead based on your URL, goes ahead and fill those details. So SOC 2 for Transilience is fair. And then moving on, we understand what is the risk profile assessment of the organization. How many, we understand what is the risk profile of the organization. We have various options here as well. And what is the size of the organization, so on and so forth. The next thing that we have to select here is where the organization is hosted. So because we cater majorly to cloud customers, that is what those are the options that we show here. However, for supporting physical assets as well, we have we have the option for ensuring that the controls of physical security are mapped as well. So, just for the sake of the assessment, I will add here that the organization is hosted on AWS. We don't have a physical location, but just to show you the output and results, we'll say that there's a data center. And from an endpoint perspective, let's say that there are laptops in scope. Based on adding all of these details, there is an assessment summary that we see, which is that there is cloud infrastructure. The answer to that is yes. Physical assets, yes. Endpoint devices, yes. And cloud only organization, the answer to that is no, given that I have selected data centers here. If I go ahead and deselect it, I might have to refresh this, so I'll just continue.
So Tanshi, it filled about 75-80% of the details here, and you have to eyeball what it filled and then select the 2 or 3 leftovers, right?
That's correct. It did majority of the work for me. The only work that I was required to do was ensure the due diligence, and that's all. All right. Now, the next part is ensuring that all of my policies are included as part of this particular portal. Now we understand that it is very difficult for organizations to add policies one by one or anything of that sort. So we've added a bulk upload option. Bulk upload option is that I can go into my, I can go into go into my policy folder as an organization, and I just need to select all policies in one go, and it will show all of those policies here. Due to confidentiality reason, I will not go ahead and do that or add any policies. However, the way that I will add policies is via this button here, which is add common policies, which gives me the details of like 5 sample policies. That is information security, access control, data classification, incident response, and business continuity. In case there are any policies that an organization wishes to add, not from a folder but then manually, you can add all of these here. So maybe let's take one example: change management policy. And if I wish, I can add the URL of the policy as well. It will utilize this URL or details to actually look at the results and or look at the content in the policy to complete my mapping in the next sheet. After I fill in all of these details here, I will just go ahead and I will say that I want you to run an applicability test. And while I do this, I'll go to the next slide as well.
So before this, Radhanshi, what we needed to do is I would open up, let's say I have 20 policies. I would keep all those policies open, and I need to fill up the column in the SOA where it says, okay, which policy is these details in? So I would fill up the row and then open up the PDF or take the name of the PDF and then paste the name of the PDF inside the spreadsheet. So that's the work involved without the tool, where I need to look at, like, keep the policies open on one side. I need to keep the spreadsheet open on the other side, and then as I fill up the row, I need to take which policy is in the corresponding. Why am I saying each row is applicable or not, or where is it located, and have to drag the name of the policy into the column. So it took, I don't know, 20-30 minutes just for that work.
Maybe more, Venkat, because you would also, like, not everybody is very well versed with the content of the policies. The policies come from different stakeholders. Your change management team might have a different policy. Your logging and monitoring team might have a different policy. So you had to review all of those details, find the content of the policies. Sometimes, it would take, like, I would assume that from a customer perspective, it would take a lot of time for them to actually go through all of the content to actually figure out what all policies are there, right? And then what all content of policies need to be mapped with which particular control.
Most of us will probably go over this, but we are sending the when you upload the policy, we are sending some of the metadata information, etc., to the LLM and says, hey, when for row 5.1, for example, here, which document you have uploaded has the corresponding content. So it is the process of you reading the document. We are internally doing it.
Yeah, rather than go to the top little bit. So what we are doing here, if you notice, like there's a button before export SOA, we are doing the generation part, right? It's generating. So what we are doing here, Ratan already uploaded few policies, right? So what we are doing here, we are mapping all those policies against the controls. So it's taking a little bit of time, maybe 30 to 40 seconds. So yeah. So yeah, we already have the initial version of the SOA in SOA. Now it will map it and we will get the final version with all the reasoning. Like if the confidence is 98%, why it's 98%.
Sorry. Okay, the confidence.
Maybe you can
Mapping here. Okay.
Okay.
Can you just retry it?
Sorry.
Can you just retry once?
Yeah,
Or I can share mine. I have already done it. You can go through it now.
that's okay. I'll just refresh it once, and if not, I'll let you know. So we had AWS, data center, laptops. Next.
Damn demo boards.
Or I think it might be some internet issue on my end.
Okay.
Yeah. Muzaffar, would you wish to share your screen? Maybe we can show the demo there. I do believe this is some internet issue or bandwidth issue on my end.
Okay. Let me see. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Muzaffar, it is visible.
So here is the part I'm not sure I'm sharing any private stuff or not, but yeah, this is the AWS portal and I have uploaded few policies and it mapped and we got all the details. Yeah, Nathan,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Can you go to the top, please? All right. So I'm unsure about what we've selected as part of the controls, but then can you please scroll down? Okay. So we have these controls right here. We have the antivirus policy for the particular control, and the justification of it is also available as part of the column that you see here. So this does this for all of the like the tool does this for all of the controls that are there. And Muzaffar, can you scroll down maybe and we can just show. Oh, also, another thing that it does is that in because we are using AI and we also understand that AI is reliable only in 80 to 90% cases. Obviously, there is human intervention which is required. So for the same, we have edit options as well. If you want, you can go ahead and edit the justification. In case required, you can also change the applicability. And if required, so what happens is that based on the matching of the content, the tool shows you the policies which can be included. For example, and for control 5.2, you can see that it says antivirus policies 40% match. The reason for this would be that the policy uploaded would include roles and responsibilities of individuals, and that would be something that it must be picking on. So you can, Muzaffar, can you please click on the plus button right next to antivirus policy? So assume you wish to include that policy, you just click on the plus button. We have ensured that there is a human touch while we finalize the document, because your ISO auditor would scrutinize this document, and it is important that that the details included are accurate. In case there is any policy that the tool misses, Muzaffar, can you go to add policy, please, for 512, and maybe let's say add something called the roles and responsibility matrix under 5.2 itself. 5.2 add policy. Below the backup, there is the option of add policy. Yeah. No. Yeah. All right. So we can add whatever policies we wish to add. There can be like a whole list of policies which we wish to integrate as part of the particular control. Muzaffar, please scroll down. Maybe we can take one or two more examples per control.
I have added two
Okay,
two
that's
policies just to let you know.
all right, but then I think this does give us a good idea of what the tool does and what its capabilities are. Once
So
be.
Ritanshi, it would be good if you, from a auditor perspective, once the spreadsheet is given to the auditor, it would be good if you can go through what the auditor would do to ensure that what you have given them is accurate, and how uh, uh, this will help with the audit from an auditor's perspective. For example, I'm guessing that the auditor would open up the spreadsheet and they would look at which policies you have said are applicable, and they would open up that document and they would read that and then ensure that whatever is, if you said applicable, they would have to check whether the statement that you have made that this policy is applicable is correct or not, or what would they do to ensure that, and how is this helping with the auditor confidence and auditor checks. Otherwise, there is a lot of back and forth that happens between the auditor and the customer with respect to, hey, you said this policy is applicable, but I didn't see anything in the policy that is applicable to inventory of assets or whatever. So it would be good if you can go through from an auditor perspective what they would check and how this would reduce the back and forth between the auditor and the customer.
Sure, Venkat. So, from an auditor perspective, when we look at the particular policy or when we look at the SOA, based on the business understanding of the organization that an auditor has, they go ahead and they understand all of the controls that are marked as implemented, and all of the controls that are there in the organization. Based on that, they go ahead and ask questions from the customers pertaining to applicability and whatever details are there. So, what the tool does is that, given that the auditor might be provided access to the SOA generator, it shows the policy parts, or it shows the details from which we are fetching the particular details. For example, for the control of maybe Muzaffar, we can. Can you please scroll down? I'll let you know where to stop. We can take a particular example. Okay, maybe not here. Please go up a little slowly, please. Okay, let's talk about the first control itself. So, all of the policies that we have at the end of the day come under the policies for information security. So, antivirus policy, backup policy, etc., would constitute or would come under the umbrella or wider umbrella of information security policy. Now, from an auditor's perspective, what like initially I was supposed to request that give me this policy. Is there a separate antivirus policy? Sometimes there are misses in particular policies that the auditor is not aware of. So they need to question the client or the customer in saying that, okay, there must be an antivirus policy. What does it show? Where are the details? However, as we go ahead and upload the policy as part of the map policy section, um, for the user or for the customer, it's just a matter of clicking on the plus button. It's just a matter of a single click. Whereas all of the policy parts, or whatever we are referring to as part of the map policy, comes under the policy. There is a section. Muzaffar, can you please highlight this? Policy extract part of it, the document title, antivirus policy, the one in yellow. No, please scroll down. Yeah, this part. So, given that an auditor comes to you and asks you, let's say, where do you mention XYZ thing in your information security policy, or where is it mentioned? It saves a lot of effort from the customer to actually go back and read through the policy. They can just check the SOA generator, see what part is being referenced, and they can utilize it to give the auditor a very pretty much accurate answer.
Okay, can we download the policy and look at it, or can you download the spreadsheet? Then maybe Muzaffar can
Sure.
go over the technical aspects of.
So the SOA, everyone comes out as a as a formatted document which contains all of the fields that you see as part of the SOA generator. Obviously, you might need a little bit of effort to brand the document or add in your logo or so on and so forth. But these are all functionalities that are easy to add, and we do plan on adding it to improve the user experience. But then the intent right now is to meet and to ensure that the part of generating an SOA becomes easier for everyone.
There's a question around whether we're going to extend this to other frameworks, and I answered them saying yes.
Are you taking any questions?
Yeah, there is.
I answered the question already. I'm not sure whether I have missed anything. I don't think so. But we can show the end output, and then we can move on to the technical aspects of the solution.
Fine, good. Muzaffar, are we able to load the Excel sheet? Could you please share your screen with the same?
Yep.
Thank you.
Can you see it?
It's blank for me as of now.
We don't see the spreadsheet, we see the webinar.
Yeah, we see us.
Just give me a second. I think now you should be able to see it.
Right. So what we see here is the control ID, the control requirement, whether a particular requirement is applicable to us or not. And as I mentioned, in case a requirement is applicable, the justification for that. In case it is not applicable, justification for that as well. And whatever document we have referred to, be it the antivirus policy, the backup policy, the information security manual, the roles and responsibility matrix, whatever policy we refer to comes in as part of the column here, which is column E, reference to ISMS documentation.
Yeah, if you can wrap the text on column D, Muzaffar, you can see that row 8 it mentions AWS. So in the justification column, you have to say why it is applicable or why it is not applicable.
Right.
So we are taking here the inputs that we gathered automatically, saying, hey, you're an AWS. And then we are bringing that information back to the D column here. So now we can see how everything fits together, how the information that we extract on the first page of the tool, where we gather information around the tech stack when the business, etc., are gathered into this, written into this column D here. So if you have not selected physical assets, you're a cloud-based company on first page. Here, we would explain that saying, it's a cloud-based company and there's no physical assets, and therefore the physical security controls are not applicable. So the auditor, when they see it, they can clearly have a good description of why something is applicable and why something is not, based on the information that we gathered automatically. Okay, Muzaffar, if you can go over the technical details for a few minutes, and then we can wait for a few more questions.
Yep, sure. Thank you. Just let me know if you can see my screen.
See the webinar. Yep. Now we can see the Transilience page. Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for your attention. So this is our marketing website. So how you can go to the trust tools is, so under the resource, you can go to the tools. Under the tools, we have our multiple tools that coming up, and this is the trust tools we have. So the inspiration behind trust tools is like we already provide managed compliance, right? So whatever automated tasks we are doing internally, so we thought like let's productize it and provide it for free. So That's the inspiration behind it. And under the trust tools, currently we have the SOA 27001 SOA generator, and there are quite a few that are coming up. So let me know, like if you want any, so we prioritize based on that. So what we have done, like we have tried to use AI like wherever required. We didn't try to push it like everywhere, right? So there are only few places where we're using AI. So here, if you give AWS, so what it does, like it do like analysis of this infrastructure and fetch all the details. So there's one part where we're using the AI, and so here what it is doing, it's creating. We have build our algorithm, and we're using AI for that. And here, what it is doing, it's generating the initial version of SOA. Okay, so I will go to the next. So this is the next screen. So here you can, upload any documents manually. My Ratan already gave the demo for this, and you can add policies here. So yeah, here. So here, what we are doing, we're using our algorithm to map all the policies against all the controls, right? So you will have the output here, and we have tried to verify the output. We have tried to verify the output and the app. The accuracy of the output, and we're constantly improving it. And after that, you can just export the essay into an Excel file. Yeah, that's all actually.
So, Muzaffar, can you maybe elaborate a little on how it is extracting the information from the URL, um, and like how are we able to get the details from the policy and all as well? How is it extracting details from the policy?
Mhm. Yeah, so we have infrastructure assessment, algorithm in our backend. So what it does, like it goes to the website and try to understand all these infrastructural details, the organization name, primary service, what are the products it's providing, the business types. Uh, Basically, it tries to read all the infrastructure and fill the form automatically. And you have the control over the output of AI. The whole tools, you can modify the output of the AI based on your requirement. If you think like the accuracy is not good enough, you can modify as per your need. So in each and every steps, you have the control. The user have the control over the AI output.
Yeah, so if we go back to the original discussion about the pain points of using ChatGPT, we have to provide multiple prompts. We have to iterate on each of the items of the spreadsheet, and that is what the first and second page is trying to do here. When you say, here's my company, we are going to the internet, we're searching on details of the company with specific search parameters. Right, okay, where is the company in? So we will put in the company name and location and search on the internet. We'll put in the company name and other prompts to get the details. And once we get the details, we will iterate through each of the rows and each of the documents presented row by row and ask LLM, why is this applicable? Why is this applicable? And then fill in the thing. So we are essentially simulating the 2 hours of work that is involved in working with the ChatGPT row by row, asking the ChatGPT to map the controls, and also some part of it is not there yet. If you have more than 20 documents, you cannot upload all the 20 documents to ChatGPT and say find the documents that are applicable for this control. So that is what essentially what the backend is doing, of taking the information, going to the internet, taking the documents, going it row by row, document by document, mapping the information in the end. There was a question on customizing the spreadsheet format based on the internal templates. Right now, currently the download, we'll give you the spreadsheet. Obviously, you can add, delete any columns, edit the columns. But if there are, feel free to email us if there are additional requirements of, hey, can we add a column right inside the tool here? We should do that. We should be able to do that pretty easily. Okay, we have about 10 minutes or so. Muzaffar, is there anything more we want to explain?
No, that's all from my side. Let me know
Okay.
if you have any question.
Yeah, and this is the first of many tools that are going to come on. There obviously, even from ISO, there are 10 more, and there are dozens of standards out there, which needs a lot of work from the customer standpoint to be able to fill up spreadsheets, look information up on the internet, look information up in a document, and fill a spreadsheet up, fill a document up. We are planning to release some free versions of all the tools, all of which are aimed to reduce the work that users have to do in producing the documentation to the auditors. There is another question: does the platform support continuous updates and version tracking? And Ratansh, maybe you can take that up. Is there a version tracking for ISO from ISO?
Yes, Venkat. So, like a couple of years ago, we had ISO 27001 2013, and I think in 2022 we had ISO 27001 2022, which became mandatory about I think a year and a half post that. So for sure we are monitoring continuous updates in all of the compliance standards that we are working with, and as we see anything new coming up, for sure we'll integrate that, and we are going to be current 100%, because we know that is what our customers require, and that is what all of the people using our platforms would require. So continuous updates, continuous versioning updates, for sure.
Okay, I'm scrolling through the questions here. I don't see them. Okay, so we'll give 5 minutes back or so back to the attendees here. We'll conclude the presentation. Thanks all for joining. We'll see you about a week from now for another presentation. See you all. Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.